We're going to talk very briefly right now about workbook lesson 326. I am forever an effect of God. Let's read it again. I am forever an effect of God. You know that cause and effect play a very big part in the Course. There's a lot of, dual things that you could point to as like themes of A Course in Miracles, like time and eternity is a big theme. Cause and effect, form and formlessness, form and content, crucifixion and resurrection, etc., etc. There's a lot of things that we could point to. But cause and effect. So I am forever an effect of God. So I was reading this thing online. Someone was saying that this teaching basically says that I am forever a child of God. And this is, and the point that this teacher of the Course was making is that what this lesson is teaching is that we will be forever a child of God. Will be separate in a way, like there's some duality. But let's read the lesson, and then we could decide, maybe, probably not, actually, because I think the resistance to this, the resistance to not seeing it a certain way is very big for most of us. So let's read it though. I am forever an effect of God. Father, I was created in your mind, a holy thought that never left its home. I am forever your effect, and you forever and forever are my cause. As you created me, I have remained. Where you established me, I still abide. And all your attributes abide in me, because it is your will to have a son so like his cause that cause and its effect are indistinguishable. Let me know that I am an effect of God, and so I have the power to create like you. And as it is in heaven, so on earth. Your plan I follow here, and at the end I know that you will gather your effects into the tranquil heaven of your love, where earth will vanish, and all separate thoughts unite in glory as the Son of God. Let us today behold earth disappear, at first transformed and then forgiven, fade entirely into God's holy will. Right, so everything will ultimately fade into God's will. Cause and effect will be no more, is what this seems to be saying. And let's read this one line here, 2 lines maybe. Where you established me, I still abide. Okay, and all your attributes abide in me, because it is your will to have a son so like his cause that cause and its effect are indistinguishable. Cause and its effect are indistinguishable. What does that mean? It seems to mean that no, I am not, ultimately I am not just an effect of God, right? In a sense, you kind of have to read between the lines a little bit here. I think Jesus is purposefully writing this in a way that it could be read both ways. And I think the non-dualists in the world of A Course in Miracles will say, and I think there's very good reason to say this, they will say that these 2 lines that I just read are really what the deeper meaning of what Jesus is saying, which is that ultimately cause and effect are one. We disappear back into the will of God, which means that we become one with God. We are both the cause and the effect. Now, for some people, this is sacrilegious, even in the world of A Course in Miracles, right? What? We are not God, right? We are forever an effect of God, right? We are forever a child of God. But that's an idea for us on this side of the veil. To say I am forever an effect of God. Why is it a teaching for us? Because of the authority problem that Jesus pointed out, which is we think we are our own creator. We've pushed God out of the picture so that we think, in alignment with the ego, or in alliance with the ego, we think we are the authority. We think we're our own creators. And Jesus is trying to remind us that on this side of the veil, at least, it's better to think that we are the creation of a loving creator, right? We are the creation of a loving creator. That is our true reality. In that sense, we are an effect of God, and in that sense, it will also help us in dealing with all of our relationships if we remember that we are an effect of God. God is only loving, therefore we are only loving, right? So this is what Jesus is trying to help us correct, is the idea that God is somehow other than loving. That God has some cruelty or some vengeance or some wrath or whatever it may be. And so Jesus is saying, yeah, right now, this is what you need in the world of duality, that this is a correction. It's remedial. It's the remedy for the mess that we got ourselves into. Or that we, especially when we're deep in our anguish and our agony and despair, depression, whatever it may be, we remember I am an effect of a love, the cause is a loving God. God is love, and therefore that is what I am. But when we learn all of our lessons in forgiveness, and we fully learn that lesson, then we're ready to transcend, right? We're ready to merge back into God, where cause and effect are no more. Or you could say, God is both cause and effect. We are both cause and effect. But in the reality, there's no duality anymore. There's no cause and effect anymore. But that's the point to be. That's the point in question. Is some people will say, no, this is not pointing to a one reality where there's only oneness, right? That's what's in question. But Jesus does seem to be intimating that when we rend the veil of illusion once and for all, not that we rend it, it's gentle, a gentle process, but when we, I guess it's the term that's used is pierce the veil of illusion, right? When we pierce the veil of illusion, we return back to our original wholeness, oneness, completeness. In that wholeness, completeness, oneness, there's no possibility of separation. There's no thought. There's no mind that can think that in those terms. There's no conception as we conceive of it. What that looks like is anyone's best guess, but I just want to point out that, if anything, I think a sensitive reader reading this workbook lesson will say, yeah, it starts with, I am forever an effect of God. But Jesus does say there that cause and effect, let's read that one more time. Cause and effect are indistinguishable in reality. And all your attributes abide in me, because it is your will to have a son so like his cause that cause and its effect are indistinguishable. That is God's will. And we are God's will. Cause and effect are indistinguishable. Anyway, that's all I had to say today. This is like a continuation of what I did yesterday with the video about God is, and looking into this topic. I think it's a very important topic, actually, in regard to how we interpret the Course and how we understand and how we read these things. And someone who says that this lesson is saying that we are forever separate in some sense from God, or there's a duality between us and God, I don't get that from what this is saying. I think there's a deeper message there, and Jesus is writing it so perhaps that some people who need the message that I am forever an effect of God, they will receive that message, and those who I don't want to put it in terms of need, but it's addressed to maybe you could interpret it based on where you are in the forgiveness process. I think there's quite a bit of the Course that you can read on a deeper level, and you can understand these things. You start to get more at why did Jesus put it this way versus another way. You start to get into the issue of authorial intent. What was Jesus's intention? Because ultimately, you are Jesus, right? You wrote A Course in Miracles. Believe it or not, Helen was Jesus. And let me say one more thing, because now that I'm on my soapbox, I can say this. This whole video series about A Course in Miracles is all me on my soapbox. But here's, I think, the issue with people with Helen and Ken. All right, so when Helen first saw Bill, her inner voice said, there's the one that I'm supposed to help. She knew from the very beginning that Bill was the one she was supposed to help. Now, not too long, some years later, this other brother showed up, Ken Wapnick. Why did Helen and Bill, it was really Helen, I think, choose to have Ken join them? This gets into the, I think if you really go into this, it's gonna blow your mind. If you start really asking yourself seriously the question of, did Helen know what she was doing, or did she not know what she was doing? If you think that Helen made mistakes, she was infallible, okay, then maybe she brought Ken on, and that was a mistake. And maybe Ken, he messed it all up, right? That seems to be the view that I hear out there. Or you could say, as Jesus does in the Course, God does not choose his channels wrongly, right? Helen chose the right guy. She knew who the guy was that needed to do it, and that was Ken. And to discount Ken blows apart the whole Course in Miracles thing. It's like, throw the whole thing out, because if you think that Helen did not know what she was doing and she was not guided, she was not, whether you think she's Jesus or not, I think she was. Or at the very least, Jesus was coming through her. Now, was that an infallible thing? Maybe in the specifics it was fallible, but maybe overall it was infallible. Just like you could say maybe Ken made some mistakes. He probably did. We all make mistakes. But overall, Ken fulfilled his purpose in this whole process. And if you don't think that's true, then you really are putting into question the whole course, because then it's a slippery slope to saying, well, maybe this whole thing, maybe there are things in the course that are not right. Right? Maybe they messed up. Some people say that, obviously Robert Perry's view is that the original course was the real one, and the Foundation for Inner Peace course is the faux version of the course. And it's like, but the course came through Helen, right? So, and she was an integral part of the whole process. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. Maybe someone can point it out, like, but I think, again, it's a slippery slope. You just throw the whole thing out if you're going to go there. One thing that Ken said about Helen is she had impeccable integrity. I would say it takes one to know one, but maybe Helen had the greatest integrity. And in that impeccable integrity, she knew what she was doing. That's just my take, take it or leave it. Probably leave it, or love it or leave it. So anyway, enough of me. What about you? Feel free to leave a comment, and we'll see you on the brother side. Thanks.